Knife crime up by 75%, murders up by 82%. He is the most useless mayor we have ever had, but because his voter base are Muslim and London is a densely packed Muslim community, he knows he can get back into power.
Katie Hopkins speaks out. Her message to Sadiq Khan leaves viewers divided. You're not going to believe what Katie Hopkins just said. It's the kind of statement that instantly divides a room, some cheering, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Because once again, Hopkins has thrown herself into the centre of Britain's most heated debate, this time taking direct aim at London's mayor, Sadiq Khan. But this wasn't one of her usual fiery rants. No, this felt different. This was sharp, emotional, and for the first time in a while, she didn't sound like she was just trying to stir controversy. She sounded fed up. It all started during a live interview earlier this week. The topic? London's direction: safety, unity, leadership. Hopkins leaned forward, paused, and said quietly but firmly, "Enough is enough. People are tired. They feel unheard, and they want real change." Those words hit like a thunderclap. For a few seconds, there was silence. Then the room buzzed. The host tried to steer the conversation elsewhere, but it was too late. The clip was already making its way across social media. By the time the interview ended, hashtags like hashtag Katie Hopkins, hashtag Sadiq Khan, and hashtag London debate were trending simultaneously. Now, let's be clear, Hopkins didn't call for anyone's resignation directly. But the tone of what she said left no room for doubt about how she felt. She questioned leadership, accountability, and whether Londoners still believe in the people running their city. And like her or not, those words resonated with thousands of frustrated citizens who feel London's lost its edge. Too much bureaucracy, not enough bold leadership. One viewer commented, "She said what a lot of us have been whispering for months." Another replied, "I don't like her, but this time, she's got a point." So what's driving all this emotion? Let's rewind a bit. London has been facing mounting criticism over several key issues: rising living costs, public safety concerns, transport disputes, and growing cultural divides. And every time there's a flashpoint, whether it's about policing, protests, or community tension, somehow, the debate always circles back to the mayor. For years, Sadiq Khan has presented himself as a steady, inclusive leader. But critics say London's pulse has changed, that the energy, the unity, the optimism have all faded. Hopkins tapped right into that frustration. And she did it with the kind of precision that only someone who knows how to dominate headlines can. In one of her most quoted lines from the interview, she said, "You can't run a city by slogans and safety nets alone. You have to feel the struggle of the people living in it." It was direct, emotional, almost reflective. And whether you see it as genuine or strategic, it landed. Because in the hours that followed, commentators both supportive and critical jumped in. A columnist from The Independent called her remarks reckless but revealing. A GB News panelist, on the other hand, said, "This is the conversation London's been avoiding for too long." Here's where things get interesting. Hopkins wasn't just speaking about London. She was speaking about something bigger. About leadership fatigue. About how people across the UK feel disconnected from those in charge. And that's why this moment struck a nerve. Because love her or hate her, Hopkins knows how to channel that mood, that sense of frustration people feel when they watch their bills go up, their streets change, and their voices seem to matter less and less. She turned that emotion into a headline. And now, everyone's reacting. Online, the split is clear. One side sees her as a truth-teller, a voice daring to say what polite politicians won't. The other calls it opportunism, a carefully timed provocation for relevance. But either way, it worked. In less than 24 hours, her name dominated talk shows, radio debates, and late-night discussions. Clips of her speech were edited into TikToks, Reels, and memes, some serious, some mocking, but all spreading fast. That's the strange thing about Hopkins. She doesn't need to convince people she's right. She just needs to make them feel. And in an age where outrage travels faster than reason, that's power. Now, inside political circles, the reaction has been cautious. One Labour MP dismissed her comments entirely, saying, "Katie Hopkins thrives on division. That's not leadership, that's provocation." But a Conservative strategist, speaking off record, had a different take. "Say what you will, she's touched on a real sentiment out there. People want accountability, not polished answers. Even some neutral commentators pointed out that the clip's traction shows how wide the trust gap between London's leaders and its citizens has grown. Meanwhile, Sadiq Khan's office has remained quiet. No official response. Just a few carefully worded statements from allies emphasizing focus on progress and standing strong against division. But silence, in moments like this, speaks volumes. Because when a single interview clip can ignite this much conversation, leaders take notice. And right now, Khan's team is likely weighing how or whether to respond at all. So where does this leave us? A veteran commentator summed it up best on Sky News. We can dislike the messenger, but ignore the message at our own risk. London's mood is shifting. People are restless, impatient, and tired of being told things are fine. And that's exactly what makes this moment so powerful. Hopkins didn't just criticize policy, she voiced a mood. The weariness of a public that's heard too many promises and seen too few results. So as this story continues to unfold, one question remains. Was this just another Hopkins headline, or a genuine turning point in the conversation about leadership in Britain's capital? Because whether you agree with her or not, you can't deny it. Katie Hopkins knows how to make people listen. And for a city as divided and exhausted as London right now, maybe that's why her words hit so hard.